I always thought betrayal would shatter me, but in the end, it became the spark that fueled my greatest victory. My name is Daniel Reeves. I was a simple man, or at least I thought I was. I built a company from the ground up in financial analytics, sold it for a fortune, and retired early. Wealth wasn't the thing I chased anymore. I wanted peace, love, and a family. My wife, Claire, was supposed to be that peace. She was radiant, the kind of woman who could command a room with a single smile. When I met her, she was working in marketing for a large pharmaceutical company. I had the money, the security, the patience. She had the energy, the charm, the wild heart. Together, I thought we had balance. But balance doesn't matter when one side is already plotting to tip the scales. It started with whispers. Her phone lighting up at odd hours, the late nights at the office. The way she started dressing up a little too carefully for meetings. I wanted to believe her, because love makes you blind. But I didn't get rich by ignoring patterns. So I followed the trail, quiet and calculated. What I uncovered wasn't just an affair. It was a full-blown entanglement with one of the most powerful men in the city, Victor Lang, billionaire CEO of a global tech conglomerate. A man known for hostile takeovers, crushing competitors, and leaving destruction in his wake. And now, apparently, he was sleeping with my wife. Most men would have confronted her. Some would have confronted him. But me? I was patient. I'd built an empire on understanding how greed works. And Victor Lang was the greediest man I had ever seen. I spent months quietly gathering evidence, texts, emails, private photos, even financial transfers that showed Claire wasn't just cheating with him. She was being funded by him. Vacations, jewelry, even a condo under her name, but paid through his shell accounts. Victor had money, but money makes men sloppy, and arrogance makes them blind. The more I learned, the more an idea began to form. Why destroy my marriage with just a divorce when I could destroy the empire of the man who took her from me? That's when I started building the trap. Victor's company was on the brink of a massive merger, a deal worth billions. Investors were buzzing, regulators watching closely, stock prices climbing. It was the perfect storm. And Claire? Well, she was the perfect mole. She didn't know it, but every careless word she whispered to Victor became ammunition for me. I hacked nothing. I bribed no one. I simply listened, collected, and waited. Claire would come home after her meetings, tipsy with champagne and perfume that wasn't mine, bragging indirectly about Victor's plans, his deals, his secrets. She thought she was being discreet. She had no idea I was recording everything. One night, she slipped and mentioned something big. Victor was hiding financial liabilities off the books to inflate his company's value before the merger. I pressed gently, feigning ignorance, and she let more details spill. That was all I needed. I took the information, verified it through my old network of financial contacts, and then carefully I leaked it. Not to the press, not yet. To regulators, to rival companies, to the very board members who already suspected Victor was too reckless. When the news broke, it hit like an earthquake. The billion-dollar merger collapsed overnight. Stock prices plummeted. Victor's empire began to crumble under investigations and lawsuits. The man who thought he was untouchable suddenly had fire at every corner. And Claire? She was collateral damage. The condo? Seized. The gifts? Frozen assets. The affair that once made her feel powerful now left her standing beside a man drowning in scandal. She came home one evening, her perfect makeup streaked with tears, demanding answers. "Did you know?" she asked me, her voice trembling. I looked her in the eye and smiled coldly. "I didn't just know. I planned it." She gasped, as if the world had tilted beneath her. You destroyed him?" "No, Claire," I said. "He destroyed himself. I just handed him the rope. You were the one who tied the knot." She tried to beg, to explain, to claim she never meant for it to go this far. But by then, the divorce papers were already in motion. I walked away with my fortune untouched, my reputation clean, and a bitter satisfaction burning in my chest. Victor lost billions. His shareholders abandoned him, his board ousted him, and the government came crashing down with investigations that would take years to untangle. His name, once feared in the business world, became synonymous with fraud and failure. And Claire? She faded into obscurity. No Victor, no luxury, no marriage. Just a woman who traded love for greed and lost everything. People often ask me if it was worth it. If revenge filled the hole she left in my life. The truth? Revenge doesn't heal, but it does settle the score. Watching Victor's empire crumble wasn't about money. It was about balance. He took what was mine, so I dismantled what was his. And as for me, I rebuilt, not just wealth, but life. I invested quietly, lived deliberately, and kept my circle small. I don't trust easily anymore, but I live freely. Because sometimes the greatest justice isn't in shouting at betrayal. It's in turning betrayal into a billion-dollar catastrophe. Claire once mocked me for being too cautious, too boring, too predictable. But when the dust settled, she finally learned who I really was. Not boring, not predictable, patient, calculated, and unforgiving. And Victor Lang? Last I heard, he was fighting lawsuits, drowning in debt, and begging for settlements. A billionaire reduced to scraps. All because he thought stealing another man's wife would cost him nothing. He was wrong. It cost him everything.